Sports ball, 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 sports ball.
Dude, if TJ doesn't give you that $100, no one
Oh,
should
he'll
ever
never
make
live
him.
it down. He'll never
Yeah,
live it down. He'll give it though.
yeah.
He's gonna pay the man today.
I mean, it can be in a gift card. Like,
No, it can't.
no, you
No, I
want?
don't want him spending it for me. I
Yeah.
want a crisp, fresh $100 bill from TJ. Stick it in an envelope. Put a stamp on it. Send it right over here so I can go. You know that thing you do with a crisp bill, where you kind of like pull on both ends and it goes. Then I'm not even gonna spend it. I'm gonna tack it up on my wall. Get it framed.
You don't have a chance today unless, like, 4 of the Rams players got COVID or some shit.
Well, I wouldn't say they don't have a chance. It's
Yeah.
it. You know, Bengals are a good team. The Bengals, the Bengals could pull something off today. They're not gonna, but they could.
Yeah.
Um,
Not in LA, man.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
It's too hot. They're used to that Cincinnati colds.
That's probably true. Did you chance to say goodbye to Johnny Bumpins before you left? No, I never even got a chance to say hello to Johnny Bumpins.
He just was.
Johnny Bumpins is an entity. You don't approach him. Do you use a VPN? Are you going to try and sell me Nord or something? What is that question? We're sitting here talking about FUBA. And there's literally just a dude that's like, use a VPN? Number one, it's kind of a sussy question to ask somebody. And number two, like, is this an ad break for NordVPN? Before we get on with this ideology, I wanted to tell you guys all about NordVPN. Listen, you need to protect your tracks on the internet because it's not just the authorities that are looking. It can be hackers, malware installers, all of these things. You need to protect yourself from that, and that's where NordVPN comes in.
The only reason you should use one is if one of your episodes gets fucked you and you're in, like, South Korea or some shit.
I don't know. I mean, people can have a fucking Nord. If people can have a VPN or whatever,
Yeah.
it's fine. But it's just like
That's really all it's good for.
there's a group of people out there that think that they're like in a VPN club or something.
Yeah.
It's like it's very, very common for people to use VPNs.
Anyway, FUBA.
FUBA, 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 FUBA. What's your favorite tailgate foods? I don't know, man. I like all tailgate foods, man. My mom is a tailgate master, dude. An absolute master of the art. And it is an art because if you think about it, a really good tailgate is like taking a kitchen and moving it outside, packing up a small kitchen in the back of your truck or your trailer or whatever, popping that shit out, and being able to cook a badass barbecue meal in a parking lot. And man, I've had so many good tailgates. I was really lucky to get to go see the Raiders as much times as I have. I think I've seen them 4 or 5 times in my life, and every one of those came with a tailgate, you know, of one sort or another.
You gotta go to Vegas one of these days and go see him in person.
Oh yeah, it would be cool to get some tickets to a Raiders game. Seeing a live football game, especially when you're there rooting for a team, and not just any team, but a team like the Raiders. The Raiders have a notoriously fanatic fan base. And so when you're there under the auspices of I'm going to root for a Raider victory, and there's a bunch of bloodthirsty howling Raider fans everywhere, there are few things in the world that can match that in terms of like just the general good vibes. So yeah, I'd love to Maybe just do like a Vegas trip and plan it around a Raiders game next year or
Yeah.
something. Be pretty neat. We could even try and tailgate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing about tailgating is that there's this kind of tacit understanding that while you're not necessarily invited to go and just sit with somebody and have a tailgate with them, if you're tailgating next to somebody else who's tailgating, you get a little bit of what they're making, and they get a little bit of what you're making. And the dude across from you smells your ribs cooking and goes like, "Oh man, those are good." And you go, "Yeah, you want a rag? You go." He brings over some some hot links or something, whatever he's making over there. There's like this food exchange that goes on. It's nice. It's fun. It's good times. There's really nothing like it. For today, Amelia and I are providing the hot dogs and sausages. So we will be grilling up some big, oversized all beef dogs and some Polish sausages and some regular dogs. And so that's our contribution. Is we're bringing the dogs. I think my mom's making some chili, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. She wouldn't let me make mine, so
She's protective of her chili. She wants to be the chili master. Soul food is a fancy word for fast food. No.
it's totally different things.
They may be, like, some soul food may be better as fast food. Like fried chicken makes good fast food because you can fry it up and keep it crispy and warm and serve it all day. So I can understand like why people would think there might be some kind of parallel. But if you've ever sat down and had soul food, it's it's on a different plane of existence.
Yeah. You had like just traditional, like homemade fried chicken.
What was it?
You had like traditional, like just homemade fried chicken.
I've had it before. My mom makes the self-breaded and fry it in the pan kind of chicken. She doesn't do it all that often, but I've had it before.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with frying, is if like you don't fry often, there's not a lot of impetus to like have a deep fryer.
Yeah. Deep fryer is one of those like little esoteric pieces of kitchen kit
Yeah.
that most people aren't going to use more than maybe once or twice a year, if that, you know. So yeah, it's one of those things. My pan fried chicken is getting pretty on point. It's all about that seasoned flour. Yeah, yeah. It's all about the flour and the right amount of oil, the right amount of heat in your pan. It's like, any other meat. The more you fuss over it, the better it works.
Yeah. I think TJ is like more of a fusser than a sit and wait. I think he gets impatient with the sit and wait shit.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff, especially like meat. I'm not a real good cook of anything, but I can cook meat really well. And with meat, not necessarily when I say fussing over it, you're not flipping it constantly or whatever, but you've got to kind of poke it, watch it, check the sear, check how cooked it is. When you brine your chicken in, I don't fry chicken. But my mom does a traditional saltwater brine on her chickens, legs and wings and stuff if she's doing the fried chicken. She'll brine it up, a few hours or maybe even like 10 hours or something in a saltwater brine to get that skin all tender and get the meat inside kind of tenderized and penetrated with all that salt. You brine it there. Flour, Creole seasoning, black pepper, salt, paprika. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty standard fried chicken setup. You get your flour all dusted with all those good ingredients. You gotta get your egg wash. Dip your chicken in it. Get it all nice and sticky. Get it in the flour, then get it in the pan, baby. I love that. There's a scene in Ray, the movie about what's his name, Ray Charles, with Jamie Foxx playing Ray Charles, where he's cooking. Like his friend comes over and he's like, "You're gonna burn this house down, man. You're cooking in the dark." He's like, "Man, I can't see shit anyway. What's it matter?" He's like cooking fried chicken in the literal dark kitchen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ray Charles was fucking insane.
Yeah, he was. Saute garlic with so much now, it's god tier. Yeah. We can be drinking tonight at fall. Probably not much, just a couple of beers maybe. Couple of beers. Beers. Used to work at a bar that breaded their chicken in fruity pebbles. Gross.
Were they alcohol-soaked Fruity Pebbles or some shit?
Fucking yuck, dude. Ooh. Pizza. I think we're having pizza today. Pizza's a respectable, Super Bowl food. It's fine, but no, we're having chili dogs, I think, is the main course today. Chili dogs, here we come. Yeah, that's just maybe queasy just thinking about it. Oh yeah, Rice Krispie, like Fruity Pebble crispy treats, those are good, but notice that there's no chicken in that. Today the Super Bowl, it is Super Bowl Sunday. Chili dogs with the cheese. What's a chili dog without the cheese? You gotta have the cheese, the diced onions. You gotta be able to throw it on there. Yeah. Who are you betting on, Paul? I don't even know what teams are playing. I'm betting on the LA Rams. Got $100 on it with TJ. So we'll see.
And do not let TJ get away with it.
Nope. Got $100 on the game with TJ. Gives me a little something to root for today.
Oh.
Because ultimately, I don't care. It's not the Raiders going to the Super Bowl. I really have no real investment in who wins. But today, my stepdad loves the Rams. He's a longtime Rams fan. So I'll be happy to see him happy, and I'll also be happy to win $100. So.
The Raiders were so close, man. They just fucked up like the last minute of the game.
Yep.
That's the Raiders way though, isn't it?
Yes. It is. Assuming it's called the Super Bowl because there's a big helping of ice cream in the middle and the audience gets to eat it. No. That would be cool though. Paul, where's Scotty?
Scotty has been consumed by the soul of Hollywood love.
Yep.
He's got to shake it off first.
Scotty is many miles away. I don't know what he's up to today. I assume he's probably getting ready to go and do some Super Bowl stuff. Found out I was a fair weather fan when Brady left the Patriots. Oh, that's a shocker, man. Wait a minute, hold on. You're telling me a Patriots fan was a fair weather fan? That is shocking, man. Yeah. Dude, as a longtime fan of one football team and one football team only, I can tell you there is nothing more disgusting in the world of football than a fair weather fan.
Especially dependent on Tom fucking Brady, dude.
I know. I mean, how much more hateable can you get than Tom Brady?
Thank God he fucking retired this season.
I know. I'm done. I'm so done with him. Be done with Tom Brady. But yeah, no. Like, here's how it works in the football world, right? Like every other sports dynasty, there is a shuffling of contenders, and sometimes you'll get this football dynasty that's going to win some Super Bowls, back to backs, maybe 3 Super Bowls. And all of a sudden, and this is crazy, all of a sudden you get to see all these people who before didn't really care about football, and now they're all wearing Patriots gear. They got Patriots stickers on their truck and shit. And I'm just telling you, man, if you watch that person's truck, you watch that person's wardrobe, over the course of a year or 2 or 3, somebody's going to scrape that sticker off and replace it with another one. A fair weather fan, man. Boo. It's not a fan at all.
Yeah. Need some water? You got it.
I'm good, baby. Thank you. A fair weather fan is no fan at all. You know, you meet a Raiders fan, you know that's a true fan, because it's not necessarily based on like who's winning right now. What barbecue music do you like? Dude, classic rock is the best barbecue music. Fight me. Classic rock, a little Pink Floyd, some Styx, you know, some Scorpions, some Van Halen. Gotta have a little rock and roll, man. Here I am, dun dun, rock you like a hurricane. Dun, 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 dun. I got a friend like that. I got a friend that, like, when we were kids, he was a Niners fan, because in the 90s, the Niners were absolutely dominant. And so he strutted around in Niners gear until they started losing. Then all of a sudden, he was a Patriots fan or something. I can't remember where he moved from the Niners. He moved to another team, and then it was the Patriots. I root only for the winner, man. Yeah, I really don't have any Raiders gear to speak of, to be honest with you. I used to have a T-shirt or 2, but those have gotten, I've thrown them away over the years as they've gotten old and ratty. I think I've got 1 piece of Raiders gear right now. It's like a fleece sweater, and I've had it forever. But that's about all I've got. I used to have some jerseys and shit. Like, I used to have a Bo Jackson jersey that was amazing. I don't know what happened to it. But I used to having yearly Super Bowl parties here in New England. Sucks to be a regular team. See, that's the thing, dude. That's another thing with fair weather fans. It's like, well, we used to have awesome Super Bowl parties, but now that the Patriots are just a normal team and not a dominant team, it's like, you're not gonna party still? Look, dude, I'm a Raiders fan, and I'm gonna party today. It's a Super Bowl. Well, that makes sense. It's not as hard. You don't party as hard as if the Pats were in the bowl. Fuba, 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 Fuba. Best Raider of all time was Janikowski. Nope. Nope. You got Marcus Allen. You got Bo Jackson. You got what was his name? Dude that he had a mullet back in the day. Had a crazy mullet. Brian Bosworth? Yeah. At the Boz, dude. Brian Bosworth on the line? Dude, no. No. They're better Raiders. I expect you're a big Derek Carr fan. Not really. You would think so, since he's kind of from the same area that I'm from. Derek Carr was recruited out of Fresno State University. He was a Bulldog. But I really don't like him all that much. I didn't like him when he was a Bulldog, and I don't like him now all that much. I think he gets the job done sometimes, but he's a little inconsistent. Not my favorite. Not my favorite quarterback to watch. I would say Janikowski was probably a wait a minute, was Janikowski? Yeah, he was. He's a quarterback. Who's their kicker? Who's that Raiders kicker that was just like 50 years old and still hitting the long bombs? Go Rams, nuke Michigan. Yes, yes, yes. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Cincinnati. Psst. Psst. Get him out. Boo. The kicker was Janikowski. Okay. Got him mixed up. He was a good kicker. I mean, it's hard to say that the kicker was the best, but man, he was like he was like a laser kicker. The state, it's all staged, Paul. Evidence. The Kansas City Chiefs won the. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the Rams are taking it all today. The Rams are taking it all. They're going to Disneyland at the end of the day. Let's put it that way. With a nice fat Super Bowl ring to show for it. You can use old motor oil to fertilize your lawn, but only after the Super Bowl. I didn't know that. It's crazy. I'll have to try that. Boo, Chiefs. Boo. Get the Chiefs out of here. Imagine the clusterfuck that would ensue if it turned out the NFL was rigged as pro wrestling. I mean, it's maybe, I don't know if it can be rigged to that level, but it's definitely rigged. It's been exposed a bunch of times. People caught cheating, and you know that they've been cheating the whole season. Like Brady deflating the balls a little bit to make it easier to handle and stuff. Non-standard footballs. And spying on the enemy team's playbook. All of that shit. You're thinking Cincinnati will win. You're thinking wrong. You're thinking wrong. The Rams is about to win. Age-old question, tacos or Cali burrito? Doing some real meal planning for the game. Dude, I'm a burrito boy myself. I like a taco. Don't get me wrong. A taco is good, but I'm a burrito guy, man. Especially like Cali-style burrito. Got the salsa fresca. You got the guacamole in there. Some barbacoa beef. You know what I mean? Lots of cheese. You got a really good grilled tortilla around the outside. It's hard to beat that, man. It's hard to beat that with any kind of food. Taco just doesn't stand up in my mind. But I am from the land of the burrito, so, you know. We love us some tacos in Cali, but a burrito is something else, man. You're a guac guy. Dude, you would love my mom's guacamole. My mom makes like a homemade guac for these parties and stuff with chips and dips and all that. Oh my God, it's so good. It's the perfect amount of garlicky perfect amount of, seasoning in there, and it's just great. Oh yeah, dude, you gotta have a horchata on the side. You know what I'm about. Dude, if you can get a big fat carne asada California burrito with a horchata to like wash it down, and some beans and rice just in case you want to augment the experience a little bit. Oh my god, dude, that's the feast. That's a feast fit for a king. And here in California too. I don't mean to brag, but we got it like that. I know only rock and roll, but I like it. Oh yeah, California Mexican, top notch, easy peasy. I had some good Mexican food in the South, but I feel like that the South is affected with a lot of Tex-Mex and Southwestern influence, which throws it off for me a little bit. Like the Santa Fe, New Mexico style Mexican food, it's delicious. It's got a little bit of a different twang to it, and the same thing goes with like the Tex-Mex that's very prevalent along the Texas border and along the Gulf Coast in general. It's very good, but to me, you cannot even begin to beat. Like, there are little joints around where I live that have names like they're just named after somebody. You know, there used to be this place. I don't think it exists anymore, that I used to order from, called Ureli's, which was just that's a Hispanic woman's first name, Ureli, and it was this little family-owned Mexican joint that would just kill you with a burrito. You order a burrito, you're assuming you're gonna get like a Chipotle-sized affair, and it's two of those in one tortilla, just a big giant carne asada burrito, where the meat is the star. You got the hot salsa on the side to pour over it. It's too much, man. It's too good. Too good stuff. Hatch chili's good, yeah. And pupusas. Or, no, they don't call them pupusas. What do they call them down there? They're like a pupusa, but they're something else. I had Mexican in New Mexico a couple of times while we were down there for DP. And it was good. Not as good, though. It was alright. Empanadas. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Is Chipotle Tex-Mex? No, Chipotle is it's like American fresh Mex is what I would call it. It is not necessarily a super traditionally Mexican burrito when you go to Chipotle. It's got a lot of the same ingredients, but it's more I don't know. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's got a more kind of like fresh and healthy vibe around it than your average burrito does. You get the type of burrito that I'm talking about, and there's nothing it's not trying to hold up the pretense of any kind of healthiness. It's literally just a big giant grease bomb filled with the most delicious things in the world. Yeah, soccer mom X, yeah. And look, dude, I'll get a Chipotle every once in a while. It's not bad, but you can't really fool yourself into thinking you're getting any kind of like traditional Mexican food there. You're not. You want Mexican? Me and Amelia had, we ordered Mexican. What was it, like earlier this week? We got a big giant burrito from one of those places and split it. And both of us were stuffed afterwards. It's pretty crazy. The style that you see a lot in California, especially like the area that I grew up in, is called Jalisco Mexican. And it's got a lot of influence of like northern Mexican and what do they call that? Little fucking Baja California. So it's got kind of like the seafood mixed in a little bit. So you get a lot of fish tacos and shrimp tacos and stuff like that. But you also get that kind of traditional carne asada, pulled pork kind of meat fillings with a real kind of emphasis on salsa and simplicity. And so you get these just, like a really good burrito, in my opinion, is not stuffed full of 10 different ingredients. Like a really, really great burrito has, 3 ingredients in it. You got your meat, you got your salsa, you got your cheese. That's really all you need in my opinion, in a really good burrito. You can add some rice, but typically that's like filler. Rice should be on the side. Like a real genuinely good Jalisco burrito always is, the meat is the star. You got just this big giant meat filled wrap, maybe a little cheese in it, maybe a little cheese on it, plenty of salsa. You're not overwhelming yourself with this burrito that's got 8 layers like a sandwich.
Yeah. I mean, Chipotle really tricked people into thinking that it's like everything.
Yeah. Chipotle burritos are more just like wraps, honestly. Especially the way that you can customize them, put lettuce in them and stuff. Look, it's good. I put romaine lettuce in my Chipotle burritos because it adds a little crunch and texture to it, but it's more like a sandwich wrap than a traditional burrito. At least how I understand them. And then there is one burrito, too, that a lot of people are going to argue with me on this, that I think reigns supreme over all burritos. I really feel like if a Mexican joint can't make this burrito, then it can't make Mexican food, and that is the bean and cheese burrito. People sleep on this all the time. Bean and cheese burrito, what? But you go to a place that knows that mix of homemade, nice, like lardy, refried beans and cheese. There's few things in the world, dude, that soaks up salsa so well. It's just such an easy to eat thing. It's pleasing texturally and otherwise. If you go to a place and you order a bean and cheese burrito and they fuck it up, never go to that place again. If they can't do a bean and cheese, they can't do anything else. It really is the measure of the quality of a restaurant.
I would say fish tacos are a close second.
Depends on the type of Mexican food. Some Mexican food doesn't have fish in it at all. But if you're going to a place that's got fish tacos and you eat them and they suck, they can't make shit. Fish is such an easy meat to work with, especially in Mexican food, because it just absorbs every flavor. So if you got like a bland fish taco or, an under-seasoned fish taco or an over-seasoned fish taco, it's going to that's a real indicator that you can't. The salsa says a lot about a place too. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You go to some of these more corny family-style Mexican restaurants, and you'll get paste picante sauce brought to your table. No joke. I've gone to Mexican places, and they bring out chips and salsa, and I'm like, dude, this is bulk paste picante sauce. This is not salsa. This is jarred salsa. This is gross.
Those homemade tortilla chips.
Yep. That's another quality indicator.
Yep. Like they give you the chips and salsa and it sucks, just walk out already.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like if you sit down, a lot of Mexican restaurants, the tradition is you sit down and before you've even ordered, they bring you your free appetizer of chips and salsa. Do you take a scoop of that salsa and it's jank?
And the chips are jank.
Or the chips are just like, you can tell they're just bagged chips. Bro, you may as well just go like, you know what? No thanks. Because I'm telling you, man, that same level of like plasticness and pre-prepared like grossness is going to be in everything. You're gonna get a microwave meal at a place like that. A real Mexican restaurant makes their own salsa in house. They probably make 2 or 3 different types of salsa. You can get a pico de gallo usually at these places, which is a really easy salsa. And then like a red hot salsa, a chili verde salsa, all made in house. What?
It's Sunday. It can't possibly be male. I'll go check.
Somebody probably just drove by, knowing him. Yeah. And then a really good quality place fries up their own tortilla chips. You're not getting a basket filled with, Totinos or Tostinos or whatever. You're getting a basket of homemade deep fried chips. And if you're not getting treated that way at a place, you may as well just walk out of the place. Sopapillas are good. I love pupusas, man. We went to a place in LA on my recommendation, and I know it ended up being me and Ashley and TJ and Chelsea. We kind of split off from the group, and they were asked. They all said they wanted Mexican food, and I was like, let's see if there's some pupusas around. There happened to be a joint that was just literally called pupusas. It's like one of these strip mall joints, right? And I was like, dude, I can almost guarantee you that this is going to be good. And everybody was kind of skeptical walking into it because it was a little shit box restaurant in a strip mall. We waited a long time for our pupusas. That was another bad thing about it. But when they got there, you got to be kidding me, bro. Absolutely delicious. Unbelievably, absolutely delicious. So, I'm a sucker for a good pupusa. I think that's like a Central American food or a South American food, pupusas. I want to say like Brazilian, maybe, or Chilean. I may be wrong about that. Fuck, they're good though. But yeah, Mexican is one of the holy trinity in my life. When it comes to food, there are 3 styles of food, in my opinion, that reign supreme over all other styles of food. Mexican food is at the top of the pyramid because, and let me explain why. It is super easy to fuck up Mexican food. Mexican food has to be pretty much perfect. Can't be very adventurous. It's got to really stick to what it does best. And that makes it, I think, the hardest one to deliver. Then you got Italian food. Second part of the Holy Trinity. Italian food encompassing, of course, pizza, traditional pasta dishes, and the kind of desserts and stuff that come along with that as well. Cannolis, tiramisu, and all that stuff. And then you've got the third jewel in the Holy Trinity crown is American food. And when I say American food, I mean hamburgers, hot dogs, baby back ribs, sausages on the grill, chili. It's this kind of very distinctly American food. It's simple, it's cooked with care, and it's just delicious, man. Does soul food fit into an American food? Yeah, absolutely. Soul food is, you know, by definition, an American food. It's an American style of food. So absolutely, yes. Get some soul food. That's good American food. Like good. My mom calls it like rib sticking food. You really like hot dogs? Well, here's the thing about hot dogs. There's hot dogs and then there's hot dogs, right? So a lot of people get turned off of hot dogs because they go to the store and they get that weird gray pink pack of mixed meat hot dogs, the cheapest shit you can get. They get the Foster's Farm chicken franks or whatever that are just filled with offal, basically, and have a really cheap skin on them, and they don't, taste of much. Do I like those hot dogs? No. Do I like, the boiled water out of the pack hot dogs, throw it on a bun type of hot dogs? No. But you got these things called all beef, uncured franks. If you've never had an all beef, uncured frank, you don't have any idea what you're talking about when it comes to hot dogs. Now, all beef franks have a little bit of beef mystery meat in them. I'm not going to lie to you, but there's a difference. There's a quality difference, there's a taste difference. They cook up better, and how you cook them too is a big deal. If you've got a big frank, a big Polish frank, or a big, oversized all beef frank, you should score it a little bit. You should take your knife and put some scoring marks all around that guy before you put it on the fire. Because what's going to happen is that those scores are going to let all kinds of juiciness come to the surface of that hot dog. It's going to allow a little bit of that sear to get on the inside of that meat, and you're going to have this crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, delicious ball of grease and meat to throw on a bun, throw some chili on it, and go to town. So yes, I like hot dogs. I don't like cheap, shitty, packaged, like general run-of-the-mill 3-meat hot dogs. Those are gross. I don't eat them. Get some Hebrew Nationals, or just a lot of times, if you're lucky, you'll have some local brands that are, being packaged up by a butcher, or a Polish dog, you know what I mean, or what we call hot links, which are, kind of like, they're just sausages that are cured with a lot of pepper flakes and stuff like that. They come out spicy, But yeah, we've got a package of really good hot dogs that we're taking down. I'm not sure what the company is that makes them, but we discovered them doing a shop here, and they're huge. They're like oversized, uncured beef franks. They're perfect for scoring up. Perfect for like cutting up and eating more like a sausage appetizer. Because when they're cooked right, they're just perfect. It might be Calabasas. I'm not sure. I'd have to go look, honestly. We've got the pack in there that we're taking today. Just dump some Oscar Mayers into a metal can of Dinty Moore chili and microwave the whole fuck. Oh, yeah, dude. Delicious. Linguiça is really good, too. Do you enjoy soups or stews, Paul? I don't know how much of that you'd get in hotter places. Oh, yeah. Once again, like a lot of the stuff that I can, point to there was made by my mom. But my mom makes great beef stew, great soups, broccoli cheese soups, and potato soups, and just a bunch. She's really good at that type of. My mom can cook anything basically. But yeah, I grew up eating a lot of like stew, especially like traditional beef stew, like crock pot beef stew, which by the way is one of the easiest, most delicious things that you can cook. All you got to do is get a decent cut of meat, Put a good dry rub on it, right? Look up a dry rub or use your favorite one. I like to use tri-tips in beef stew. You can use a brisket. You can use what do they call it? A tenderloin. You just need a nice big piece of meat. Dry rub it up. Add a little bit of fucking lemon juice. Add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in there, just as a base. Kind of coat the thing in it. Throw it in the crock pot. Turn that thing on 8 hours, and then just leave it going. Right. About 4 hours, 5 hours into it, you start adding your vegetables. Chop up your potatoes, your little carrots. It's also pretty easy to just use baby carrots in that. Throw some baby carrots in it. Chop up some potatoes, chop up an onion, throw that in there. Chop up a couple cloves of garlic and sprinkle that over the whole mess. Put the lid back on and just let it go. And what'll happen is, just kind of naturally, that meat, all the juices will cook out of that meat. They'll join the mustard rub or the Worcestershire rub or, the lemon lime juice or whatever it is you used as a base. They'll join that. All those flavors will concentrate and caramelize and cook into that meat. And by the time you're done, you can just take 2 forks and, with no effort at all, shred that meat. And that's the last thing that you do after, when your stew is done. You kind of move your big chunky vegetables to the side. You get a couple of forks down into that piece of meat that's been sitting there just stewing in its own juices. You just pull apart. You get this beautiful shredded meat, mixes in with the potatoes. You've got a natural gravy that's been made as the fat and the juices cooked out of the meat, combined with your hot mustard or whatever it is that you used as your rub. All those spices that were on the meat have not only cooked down through the meat, but have added, they've kind of added into the fat of that meat. And then as that gets cooked out, it just seasons every piece of potato, every piece of onion, every piece of carrot, whatever you add as your base. Do you need to add liquid? You can. It depends on the piece of meat. If you're working with a leaner piece of meat that's not going to release a lot of fat, you can use beef stock. And like a lot of people will do that. It depends on the piece of meat. Like I said, if you're doing a brisket, which has traditionally got a little bit more fat, you might want to trim a little fat off the brisket, put it in there. Chuck roast has a pretty high fat content, so you might not need a whole lot of it. But if you've got a cup of beef, chicken, or vegetable stock, that's really all you need. And you'll be able to tell. Like, let it cook for a little while. Go check on it. See if it's started to create that roux, that base. See if that fat is cooking down. Because you don't want it watery. You don't want to put too much liquid in, right? You definitely want, and if you're going to add liquid, you definitely want to add it early. You add that liquid early on in the process so that it reduces down, cooks up into the meat, joins with that. So a lot of times I find that when I'm doing like a stew in the crock pot, you don't really need to add beef stock, but it depends. And it's something you can do after the fact too. You let it sit for a while and you realize, okay, this is a pretty lean piece of meat. We're not getting a whole lot of fat. I'm going to put in a cup of beef stock, and then that'll reduce down over time, soak up into the meat. Making hot wings and barbecue wings for the bowl. Nice. I'm not a big fan of it, but like just wings in general, meat on the bone in general, but I know that they taste really good. I know only rock and roll, but I like it. You can do a lot of things in a slow cooker. Slow cookers are like a hack that a lot of people don't understand. Like, you can make killer. It's not necessarily the most authentic thing in the world, but you can make killer eggplant parmesan in a crock pot. No joke. You take your chicken breasts, you bread them up like you normally would. You throw them in the slow cooker. You let them slowly stew in their own juices. Then later on, you add some thick cut eggplant to it. add a little bit of your sauce on top, let that cook down through the whole thing. And then the last thing you do is you add some cheese right into the slow cooker, just handfuls of cheese to kind of bake over the top. And then you can take your clay pot out of the cooker, put it in the oven, put a broil on it so that cheese gets nice and bubbly, and you're good to go, man. You're good to go. That's going to be a delicious meal. Pretty easy to do, too. It's one of those things that, like, I get people as gifts. When I find out somebody doesn't have a crock pot, I'm likely to get them a crock pot as a gift because I think it's a great gift. I think it's one of those kitchen gadgets that everybody can benefit from because, like, everybody wants to try and cook more. Everybody hates cleaning up after cooking because you got a dirty 18 different dishes and stuff, and the crock pot is that. What's your tact on chili? Beans or no beans? What meat? Dude, I'm a chili generalist, to be honest with you. My mom makes a one bean, so pinto, one pinto bean meat chili that is to die for. Absolutely to die for. I mean, unbelievable. Amelia makes a 7 bean chili that can be made with meat or without meat. That's absolutely to die for. It's unbelievable. The one kind of chili that I'm a little sus on is chili that has no beans whatsoever. It can be good, but I don't really think of it as chili. I think of it more like a meat slurry. You know what I mean? Which is fine. You can throw it over something. It's really good on like dogs. Like having a meat-only chili if you're doing chili dogs that's proper. But it's hard for me to imagine sitting down in front of a bowl of all meat chili. You know, that's just out of my wheelhouse. My mom always used pintos. And then in the intervening years, I've eaten a lot of like 5 bean chilies and 7 bean chilies, and they're really good. I really do like a lot, like the real beanie chilies, the ones that have got, you know, pinto beans, black beans, kidney beans, garbanzo beans. You know what I mean? They've got like 5 or 6 different textures and type of bean in it. That's really good. So I guess I lean more towards the beanie chili. Yeah, black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans. You can do a lot of people don't like sleep on the garbanzo, dude. Throw some garbanzo beans in your chili, you ain't gonna fucking regret it. Trust me. They've got a really great texture. They absorb a lot of that chili flavor. They're just a real hearty bean. Navy beans, yeah. Your mom just uses kidney beans. Yeah, I've seen a lot of chilies that use one type of bean, and those are always really good as well. I've had kidney bean chili. I've had, you know, a lot of pinto chili. I found out beans were edible and not disgusting after realizing they're always in half of the Taco Bell shit I always used to eat. How do you, man, that's shocking to me. Like, how do you grow up in an environment where somebody told you that beans were gross and you just bought it? Dude, beans are fucking awesome. They're such a versatile food too. I eat veggie chili all the time. Like I said, Amelia makes veggie chili all the time. She has a chili recipe that you can grill up some hamburger and throw it in with it. You can sometimes she'll do like the Beyond Meat and throw it in there, but the star of the show in her chili is the beans and the seasoning. So yeah, dude, vegetarian chili, all bean chili, hell yeah. Do you use a tofu or something? No. I mean, if you like like a whole pot filled with really well seasoned beans in a stew form, which I would call a vegetarian chili. Beans are meaty. Jumping bean chili, yeah, those aren't beans, man. those are insects. Beans. They're good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. Let's have beans for every meal. The variation I used to use of that was beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. Let's have beans for every meal. My problems with ranch-style beans, baked beans, or any beans with skin still attached. I don't really have a problem with beans, but I feel you on the baked beans and ranch-style beans. I pretty much avoid that type of stuff. I'm not a fan of barbecue baked beans. I'm not. I'm just not. Ranch beans, like the rancho beans, where you just. I mean, those are good if you're just ladling them on top of something, but oftentimes they're meant to be eaten like a little appetizer, and it's just beans. You like Fritos in your chili? Yeah. That was one of the things. Like my mom, would make these big pots of chili. We'd have chili for dinner, and then we had to get rid of all that chili. And so the next night would be maybe chili dogs, and then maybe the last night would be Frito boats. Frito boats are amazing, bro. If you never made a Frito boat, you got to get on that shit. And they're super simple to make, man. You get your Fritos, put them in the bottom. Ladle some chili over them Fritos, throw a big nice handful of shredded cheese on top of them Fritos, let it all melt together, and you got yourself a Frito boat. Get a spoon, you got a little crunch. Beanie weenies. Oh yeah, dude. We had plenty of beanie weenies when I was a kid, trust me. Is that the same as Frito pie? Yeah, it's probably just a different. My mom, we always called them Frito boats, but it is probably very similar to a Frito pie. It's just more like, I think a Frito pie is something that you bake, right? Like you put some Fritos in it and you bake those up into it. You don't do that with a Frito boat. Those you just get like the big Frito scoops. Throw a handful in your bowl, ladle some chili, throw some cheese over it, get a spoon so you can kind of scoop everything up, and you get the crunch from the chips, and they've absorbed a little bit of that chili and that cheese. It's a good combo. It's good stuff. It's like eating a deconstructed corn tortilla burrito, basically. But it's good. And as much as I would probably not eat it now, I used to love beanie weenies when I was a kid, man. That was another thing we got. Mom made some chili. She needed to get rid of some of it. She get some hot dogs, cut them up, throw them back in the chili, heat all that up together, and then you got beanie weenies, bro. Yeah, chili's a good social food. So is barbecue. Barbecue ribs, barbecue chicken, doing a tri-tip or a steak on the barbecue, doing some burgers up on a barbecue. I mean, that's all such a very social experience. I love the kind of way that people... Have you ever noticed this about people, too? You go to a barbecue, right? And there's usually one dude or one person that's in charge of the grill. But you know what'll happen? That whole crew of 30 people will go and make multiple social visits to that barbecuist. It's like everybody kind of gravitates towards the food because barbecuing is a very open cooking style. You can watch it happen, and everybody, I've done this, I've been the barbecue guy at enough parties to where it's actually fun. Yeah, the hunger and the smell will draw people in pairs or just ones to come over, strike up a conversation with you, but really they want to look at that food. They want to look at that food. They want to smell that food. They want to see what they're going to put in their mouth in 20 minutes, And so it's just a naturally social food. Chili is kind of the same way because everybody kind of gathers around and gets their chili, and then you can doctor your chili up a different way. There's a whole ritual that some people have, adding the fucking raw onions, adding the fucking, cheese to the top. Some people just eat it straight. Some people want to have some chips on the side with it. And it creates this natural conversation because you've got this one food with 8 different interpretations of how you can eat it. Some people don't even really like chili unless it's thrown on a chili dog. Other people don't even want the dog. They just want a big bowl of chili. Some people like cheese, some no cheese. You know what I mean? And it creates a natural flow of conversation and a slight good-natured competition when people are doing up their bowls of chili. And also, chili is a food that's cooked a lot of times for parties like the one I'm attending today, you know. I did the thing, I know. You know, my beautiful wife made me a fantastic bowl of chili. No cheese. That was really the most interesting conundrum that came out of Brett Keane to me. And I was kind of shocked, by the way. And I'm not, look, I don't want this to inflame any kind of drama between me and the DP guys. There really is none anymore. And, you know, speaking specifically of Billy, he's still a friend of mine. I'm not saying Ben and I are on unfriendly terms or anything or whatever, but he and I were never really close friends. But Billy and I are cool, and I wish them all the best. But I was kind of shocked the other day. I'm still subscribed to DP. It felt wrong to undo it on my main channel, my Highdeology channel, you know. I'm scrolling through just kind of absentmindedly, and I see a DP episode coming up. And the thumbnail is, you know, the DP logo, an old picture of Brett, toothless, blueberry Brett with the sunglasses on. And I can't remember exactly what it said, but I know that in big red letters was individual and situation. And I was just like, man. You know, once again, no disrespect, but it's like the exact reason why I feel like for me, and I'm not speaking for the other guys, there was a lot of things at play with the decision for, you know, the original cast to kind of split up on DP. But for me, not ever really having to do a fucking thing with that guy ever again was like near the top of my list. You know, I don't watch a whole lot of DP, once again, not out of disrespect. It's just I don't watch a whole lot of anything. But you know, I hadn't seen them like leaning super hard on the manatee crutch or whatever. And like it was like a whole episode that was branded as like a manatee thing or whatever. And I kind of tuned into it a little bit last night. And once again, like I do not intend this as shit talk. I'm not trying to stir up drama, but it was literally, they had a guy on, I don't remember what his name was. Hellbent. I remember that because that's a really good song. We'll talk about that in a second. Hellbent. And he is a guy that, as I found out back in the day, that kind of took over the Brett Keane impersonation for me. I'm not salty about it, but when I left the show and Ben was in charge of that and he wanted to keep going, you know, listen to the fans and keep going with the manatee thing, they were distinctly lacking, you know, like a personality that was doing the manatee stuff. And he's the dude that they got to do that in the earlier days. And I was aware that, you know, but when I checked, you know, and when I say checked in, scrolled past or watched maybe a minute or two of a DP video in recent months, there's been no manatee anything, you know. Maybe they've been covering it for longer, but I thought that I was like, good, dude. He's literally wallowing in obscurity where he always belonged. We all got some laughs and some yucks out of the manatee, and then that moved on, and then it was just shocking to me to see like I was like, what? No. And it really was. The little bit that I watched, it was a whole bunch of like, it was the same 2015 jokes.
Individual situations and shit.
Individual and situation, and chili no cheese, and my beautiful wife Dawn, and Zelda Dong, and you know what I mean? It was all the Keenisms and all the, you know, the kind of like that. that level of impersonation. Everybody just goes like this, goes out the dong, and Joey no cheese, Joey no cheese, Joey jokes, manatee jokes, and flippers, and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I was just like, man, dude, I can't even imagine. Because I think about it now, how many years has it been since we've done deep fat fried?
4.
That's nuts. But, dude, I knew it was a number of years, and man, dude, I can't even get in that headspace anymore, bro. 4 years. I can't even imagine piling on another 4 years of manatee jokes, bro. I got,
And it might be slightly longer. Just, I don't know, the distance between you leaving and starting DFF.
yeah. There wasn't much. It's not funny when it's running to the. Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's that I wasn't trying to say it's not funny. There were still people there. They were still enjoying it. It is just kind of mind-boggling to me that that personality has such staying power based on what now is a lot of just repetition of the same joke that's been told for almost 8 years now, 7 years. They probably started covering Brett Keane 7 years ago, 6 years ago maybe. That's when, you know, the original a religion debate happened, which was one of my first appearances on DP. It was like my second. I came on as like a solo guest for one episode. People liked me. And then they started bringing me in on these Brett Keane debates because the first one that I was on, it just like shattered their records at that point. I'm not saying it was just me. It was just everybody bagging on the manatee. It was like fresh. You know what I mean? Everybody loved it. And, man, that had to be 2015 or 2014 even when that happened.
8 years.
I can't even imagine doing 8 years of that joke. Ooh, thank goodness, man.
Like, that's primarily why you left DP. Like, besides all the other bullshit, it was creative shit. You just didn't want to do another
People
4
hate
years.
people hate that excuse too.
Yeah.
They go like, "Oh, it's creative differences," and they go like, "Well, that's just the way that artists obfuscate the real thing," and blah 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 blah. And that is true. To boil down, you know, why DP split at that point to just creative differences would be a lie. But to say that it wasn't the main impetus would also be a lie. So you have to understand it's a little more complicated than creative differences, but the big elephant in the room was creative differences. The big elephant in the room was the three of us. When I say the three of us, I mean, you know, my partners and I had gotten to a point where we were dreading going to work because it meant that we had to try and wring blood out of a stone again, because all that audience, which had been trained to know that they had tons of control over the narrative, all they wanted was that Brett Keane. They wanted that Keane. They wanted that beat.
It's like, with how much money you lost in the beginning, you wouldn't have done that unless you were seriously unhappy with the creative shit. It was a huge sacrifice.
Well, people don't even understand that.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those things. I think a lot of people think that I was like taking an equal cut of DP. You know, I wasn't like, I don't feel like I was underpaid, but I made nowhere near the founding members, and nor should I. I was not an owner of that business. I was a contracted employee on that business. So I was really dependent on the money I made from that. So you have to understand, walking away from DP was a huge consideration in my mind. It was like going like, okay, I'm going to take what butters my bread right now, throw it in the trash, and I'm going to bank on the fact that me, TJ, and Scotty can bake another loaf of bread. And it took a lot of, you know, it was a leap of faith. But the reason that I was willing to make that leap was because I could not see myself sitting for another 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years doing Brett Keane jokes. And that audience was rabid for it. You don't even understand, man. At the time that we left, there was a huge preponderance of that audience where that's pretty much all they really wanted to see.
Or Vigilant Christian or fucking.
whatever. Yeah, Joseph Martelli or Crispy Baldy or any of the other little antagonists or whatever. It was just like, man. But really, at the heart of that was Brett Keane. The heart of that was the manatee shit, and that had to be in, like, we had a whole segment every show. You just don't understand. And for a lot of people, it was the highlight segment. You could tell because it was, when you read the comments on those episodes, half of them or more were about a segment that accounted for 20 to 30 minutes of a 3-hour show. You know what I mean? So it was the centerpiece. It was the crown jewel of the show, was the individual Brett Keane situation, where we would cover whatever stupid inane shit Brett said. And look, we made a lot of hay with it. And I'm not going to lie, it was fun for a while. Say what you want about the matinee, but he was a fun opponent, you know? Like I think that, one, not to get too deep into it, but I think that one of the inconsistencies at the heart of the manatee is he's simultaneously a troll and a person who's very personally invested in how he's perceived, and that creates an interesting and volatile mix in a personality. The manatee went along with this shit. The manatee realized that he could take a video that if he just put it up, it maybe would get 20, 30, 40, maybe 100 videos or 100 views and 10 likes and 15 dislikes. He could take a video like that and say our names in it. Paul Zion's 12-year-old girlfriend and TJ fucked a banana, Scotty in the shadows. You know what I mean? And he knew that we were gonna make hay with it. He had a good idea that, maybe not every time, but that if he made a really good one where he went on a screed against us, we were gonna pull it and we were gonna make hay with it. So there was a symbiotic relationship with Brett, whether he would admit it or not, where, everybody made money. We made more than he did, that's for certain. But Brett Keane cashed some checks on being the focal point of DP. He got paid a number of times for appearances and shit, and it definitely boosted viewership to his channel. And he's smart enough to understand that views are views are views. As much as he complains about trolls and stuff, he's smart enough to know to court them. Because the more people watching, the more people reacting, the more people, the more people you got. So anyway, but I really just feel like that whole thing ran its course for me. I got to the point where I was just at the bottom of my barrel creatively to come up with anything different than already existent jokes. Individual situation, manatee, river cow, Festus, Dorn, give Dorn a black eye, make some chili, waterheads, you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? Like, at some point, it was just absolute repetition, and people were just eating it up. And I really thought, honestly, that at some point, the audience would naturally and organically kind of feel the boredom and ennui that we were trying to mask every time the individual Brett Keane situation came up or whatever. But they didn't. We're all showmen, and so we went into it and gave it our best and recycled our jokes, and people just ate it up. Eating out of the palm of our hands every time we did it. And we were just sleepwalking through it. Just absolutely bored with the same old. Why is it that audience wasn't receptive to change despite following over to DFF? Well, number one, I'd say about 20% of that audience maybe filtered over to DFF in the long run. Most of that audience checked out DFF when it launched, but when they saw that it wasn't going to be us covering Von Helton and Brett Keane and G-Man and G-Time Johnny and, the whole cavalcade of crazy people on DP, when they saw that it wasn't going to be this personality-focused rip on this stupid content creator stuff, I'd say about a good 80% of that audience fled back to DP. And I don't know how much of that stuck around. I know not anywhere near what it was at the height. But, it fractured the audience. A lot of people just walked away from the whole mess. I'd say a good 20% of that original audience found their way over to DFF, and, then probably more as time went on. And some of them stayed with DP, and some people watch it all still, and, but it's just one of those things, Coffee. There's my 1 cup of coffee for the day. Down. Done. Sometimes you have to step back and do something different. Otherwise, it will get repetitive. Yeah. True. Yeah, I only drink 1 cup of coffee a day. Maybe 2. If I'm having a real drag ass day, I might sip on a second cup of coffee or something. But I went through a long period of time in my life where I drank coffee all day, every day. And then that graduated to these energy drinks and shit all day, every day. And then very unhealthy, very bad for you to load up on too much of that. So that should answer your question, Dragon. That's why I limit myself to 1 or 2 cups. Anyway, I think I'm going to end this now. Have a good one, y'all. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Root for me so that I can take $100 of TJ's money. Thank you.